We have John in Illinois, pronouns are he, him, thinks there's logical reasons to believe in God. How you doing, John?
Hello?
Hi.
Hello? Do you hear
Yes.
me?
Didn't the call screener tell you to not say, can you hear me, just to start talking? That's normally the way we do it. Yeah. And okay, so we're not good at following instructions right off the bat. Let's do better.
Yes, then I respect your opinion, and I'm amazed at your energy you dedicate to the atheist point of view. I believe in God, and I have a different opinion, but still I respect your view. But I like to formulate. Forgive my English. I was not born in the United States. That maybe the position will be formulated delicately in this way: that I believe that God exists and loved me and explained a lot of things in the life, and you believe that God doesn't exist. And we are in the same position, that you cannot put it in this way. I cannot scientifically prove that God exists, and you cannot scientifically prove that God doesn't exist. What do you think?
Well, so do you know whether or not I have cancer right now?
I've heard you. Yes, I'm sorry that you're.
No. I don't have cancer, as far as I know, and you don't know
you
either.
Don't have it. Okay.
Okay. So if neither one of us know whether or not I have cancer, should I act as if I have cancer, or should I act as if I don't have cancer?
Yes, but speaking about
that's a
God,
question.
The cancer.
That's a question that you can't answer with yes.
Could you repeat it, please?
So your basic point was you can't scientifically prove that God exists, and I can't scientifically prove that God doesn't exist. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
That's true. But you're saying you believe that a God exists and you believe that he loves you. So you're believing something that you know and you admit that you cannot demonstrate. Why would you believe something that you can't demonstrate is true?
Yes, because our life doesn't depend exclusively on what we see, what we touch. Also, we have some hints.
Excuse me, John. John, excuse me, and I'm going to let MD Aware jump in here a second. I didn't say anything at all about what we could see, what we could touch. You ignored the sentence and statement that I made and the question that I asked in order to argue some different point. I didn't say you had to see or touch or anything. I said, by your own admission, you cannot demonstrate the truth of the thing that you claim to believe. Why would you do that?
Because I cannot prove scientifically, but I can prove in different way, like in the science, in psychology, and also in the literature. We have some hints, something that is not 100% sure, but is giving us some hints that we see that this is probable, and we believe in something.
Okay, so this is a thing that bothers me, John. This is something that bothers me. Is people look at history, literature, things like that, and they say, well, they talk about God in literature and history and these things, so that counts as evidence for God. I would say no. What it counts for is evidence of people writing about God, people writing stories, or someone at some point in history being under the impression that there is a God. It doesn't actually count as evidence for the God, right? So it's secondhand, third hand, whatever. Again, I know you're saying that you're not looking at it from a scientific point of view, but I don't know what other type of evidence really there is. Everything is sort of derived from that. Science is just the most refined method of obtaining this evidence, in my opinion.
Which also, if you rewind, right after saying that you couldn't prove it scientifically, you said you could prove it in different ways, including science and in literature. So I'm not just going to let you pass on that. But MD's right. All those things that you would point to about that you suggest point to a God, the only thing that they point to is that people have believed in a God or people have written about a God. And what people are convinced may be true has no bearing on what is actually true.
Oh, yes, I agree with that. I agree. But
and why do you believe?
Strong
then why do you believe?
I believe because it explained a lot of things. Why
what does God explain? Because my position has been very clear for years. The God hypothesis explains absolutely nothing. Because when we explain things, we take a mystery and we solve it with things that we know and understand. If you're trying to claim that a God solves things, you are solving a mystery by appealing to a bigger, greater mystery. That's not an explanation. So what is it you think God explains?
Explains, for instance, because without our eternal life and God's existence,
we don't have an eternal life.
Yes, if there's no eternal life, there is no reason to live. If I would
not. No, John.
Simple,
John.
Animals.
No, John, that's absolute bullshit. John, it's absolute bullshit. I don't believe I have an eternal life. I have no reason to think I have an eternal life. And yet I do have a reason to live. I have plenty of reasons to live. I have so much of a reason to live that I went in and had a triple bypass fucking operation just before Christmas so that I can continue living. Do you know why? Because I love people and I love learning and I love exploring the world and I love food and I love sex and I love drugs and I love rock and roll. And all of those are reasons for living. How dare you suggest that without an eternal life, there's no reason to live? Well, how broken is your brain that you think the only reason to live is if you get to live forever? What? That's like saying, well, there's no reason to eat because I'm just going to have to eat again tomorrow. There's no reason to buy a new vehicle because it's eventually going to end up in a junkyard. That's one of the most absurd things you could say to somebody who just got out of surgery.
If you hear yourself, you simply describe yourself as a hedonist. Because I don't think about sex as a sex. I think about loving other person, woman.
Hey, jackass, shut up and listen. Shut up and listen for a second. I started with, I love life, I love people, I love learning, I love exploring. I added other things, and you dishonestly decided to suggest that I'm a hedonist, which dishonestly suggests that there's something wrong with hedonism. What's wrong here is you.
But I don't think that you have a reason to be upset. Simply, I understand there is exchange of the views. And you present your view, okay. I present my view, and I try to do it.
I no longer give a fuck about your view. You know why? Because when I ask you why you should believe something, you keep coming up with garbage reasons, including, well, without eternal life, there's no reason to live. That's just simply false. I have plenty of reasons to live. And when I point them out, you want to accuse me of being a hedonist as if there's something wrong with that, even though I'm not. You're not listening, John. What reason should any of us believe? Give me a reason why somebody should believe there's a God.
Reason to use the bad language if I...
Okay, go fuck yourself, John. I'm hanging up on you now. You don't tell me what kind of fucking language to use. That is the cowardly way out. Once your argument has been defeated and you have nothing else to say, the worst thing you can do is that, ooh, Matt said fuck.
Yeah. People who maybe haven't seen the show before, we don't pull punches and we don't bleep curse words.
Yeah. I'm sorry that John's brain thinks that there's no reason to live unless it's eternal life and that you shouldn't use language that happens to be colorful. I love colorful language, and not just because I was a sailor, but because I know it irritates people with puritanical views. Just like the same, you want to call me a hedonist. You want to say I'm using language that's inappropriate. You know what you can't say? I'm wrong. You can't say you showed up with an argument. You can't say you showed up with any evidence. You failed at absolutely every corner of this and then proved it by complaining about how I talk.